I smiled the day my husband erased me. Not from his life, from a wedding invitation. His own brother's wedding. He looked at me, calm, almost bored, and said, "It's better this way. You wouldn't fit in." And I nodded, like I always did. Because for 3 years, I played the role perfectly. The quiet wife. The simple woman. The one who didn't belong in rooms full of power. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the place I supposedly didn't belong to was mine. The hotel. The empire. The life they were so desperate to impress. I built it. I owned it. I controlled every inch of it. And the day they decided I wasn't good enough to be there was the day I decided to let them walk straight into their own destruction. So if you've ever been underestimated, ignored, or made to feel like you were nothing, stay with me. Because this story isn't just about revenge. It's about what happens when you finally stop shrinking and let people face who you really are. Before we go on, tell me something in the comments. Have you ever stayed silent while someone was completely underestimating you? And if this kind of story hits you right in the chest, like, subscribe, and stay until the end. Because I promise you, this doesn't end the way they expect. My name is Olivia Hart, and for the past 3 years, I lived a life that looked painfully ordinary. Every morning, I woke up in a modest apartment, brewed cheap coffee, and dressed in neutral tones that made me invisible in crowded elevators. At work, I answered calls, organized schedules, and kept my voice soft enough to never intimidate anyone. To the world, and especially to my husband, Ethan Cole, I was just a quiet administrative assistant trying to keep up with a life slightly above her reach. But what I valued most wasn't the act I played. It was control. Not loud, obvious control, but the kind that sits quietly in the background, watching, calculating, waiting. Because the truth is, invisibility is a privilege when you know exactly who you are. And I knew. Every contract signed under my company's name, every luxury suite booked months in advance, every high-profile guest that stepped into one of my hotels across the world. They all belonged to me. I just chose not to belong to them. Not yet. Ethan used to say he admired my simplicity. That I wasn't like other women chasing status. He had no idea. I wasn't chasing anything. I already owned the finish line. And somehow, despite everything I built, everything I protected, the person sleeping next to me every night was the one who understood me the least. But that wasn't the real problem. The real problem was that he had just started to believe I was exactly what I pretended to be. And once someone truly believes you're small, they stop being careful around you. Ethan Cole wasn't always obvious. That's the dangerous thing about men like him, they don't start cruel. They start charming, attentive, almost disarmingly insecure. When I met him, he spoke about ambition like it was something just out of reach, something he deserved but hadn't yet been given. I saw it immediately, the fragility behind his confidence. And I made a decision. I would never let my reality threaten his illusion. So I shrank. I let him believe he paid for dinners, even when the card he used was connected to an account I funded. I let him talk about his future success, while quietly managing investments that could buy entire city blocks. I let him feel like the provider, because I thought love required that kind of sacrifice. But admiration slowly turned into entitlement. Ethan began spending more. Not carefully, but recklessly. Designer clothes. Expensive dinners with people he barely knew. Nights that stretched longer, explanations that grew shorter. When I asked, gently, he would smile and say, "Relax, live. You wouldn't understand how this world works." And I would nod. Because he was right about one thing. I understood that world far better than he ever could. What I didn't understand was when exactly he stopped respecting me. Or when I became just another tool in the image he was building. But I started noticing patterns. Small lies. Quiet withdrawals. Messages he turned his screen away to read. And the most dangerous shift of all. He stopped seeing me as someone who could notice. And that's when a man becomes careless. The first time Ethan crossed a line, it didn't look like betrayal. It looked like a mistake. A small charge on our shared statement, barely noticeable, buried between groceries and utilities. A high-end restaurant I had never been to, on a night he told me he was working late. When I asked, casually, he didn't hesitate. He laughed it off, leaned in, kissed my forehead. Client dinner. I told you about it, remember? I didn't remember. But I nodded anyway. Because confronting him wasn't the goal. Understanding him was. That's the moment people get wrong about women like me. Silence isn't weakness. It's data collection. Every lie he told, every inconsistency, every shift in tone, I stored it. Not emotionally, strategically. Days later, it happened again. Another charge. Another explanation. This time, slightly different. Slightly less convincing. And then I saw it. A message notification lighting up his phone while he showered. Just a name. No heart emoji, no obvious clue. But the timing, the pattern, the quiet urgency of it. I didn't open it. Not yet. Because proof isn't just about truth. It's about timing. Ethan still believed he was in control of the narrative. That I was too passive, too trusting, too small to question him. And I let him believe it. Because the more comfortable he felt inside his lies, the more exposed he would become. But I couldn't ignore the shift anymore. This wasn't carelessness. This was the beginning of something deliberate. And whatever he was building behind my back was starting to involve more than just money. The humiliation didn't happen in private. Ethan made sure of that. It was at a dinner I was never meant to attend, his brother Daniel's engagement celebration. I only found out about it because I overheard a call, his voice low, almost annoyed as he confirmed reservations at a place I recognized instantly. One of mine. I arrived quietly, dressed the way I always did. Simple. Forgettable. Invisible. But the moment I stepped into the private dining room, every conversation shifted. Not because they recognized me. Because they judged me. Ethan's mother, Margaret, looked me up and down like I had walked in through the service entrance. No greeting. No warmth. Just a tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, you came." Before I could respond, another voice cut in. Sharp. Polished. Cruel. Vanessa Hale. Daniel's fiancée. She tilted her head slightly, studying me like I was something misplaced. Then she laughed, soft enough to sound polite, loud enough for everyone to hear. I didn't know +1s included staff. The table erupted in restrained chuckles. Ethan didn't correct her. He didn't defend me. He didn't even look at me. I stood there, feeling the weight of their assumptions settle over me like something suffocating. An employee. An afterthought. A mistake. And for the first time in years, I felt something crack. Not loudly. Not visibly. But deeply enough to change everything that came after. Because humiliation like that doesn't disappear. It transforms. And in that moment, while they all returned to their laughter and champagne, I stopped being his wife. And became something far more dangerous. Someone who had nothing left to protect. The real loss didn't happen at that table. It happened the next morning, quietly, almost clinically. Ethan stood by the door adjusting his cufflinks, avoiding my eyes like I was something inconvenient he hadn't figured out how to discard yet. "About last night," he said, tone flat. "You shouldn't have come." No apology. No acknowledgement. Just correction. I watched him carefully, searching for something, guilt, hesitation, anything human. There was nothing. "Vanessa's family is important," he continued. "We can't afford to look out of place right now." We. That word almost made me smile. Because everything he was trying to protect, every impression he was desperate to maintain, was built on money that wasn't his. Money he had been using more boldly now. I had already confirmed it, accounts accessed without permission, transactions masked under vague labels, even a forged authorization request that passed through one of my lower-level finance teams. He didn't just lie. He was stealing. And still, he spoke to me like I was the liability. Like I was the one dragging him down. By the time he walked out that door, something inside me had gone completely still. No anger. No sadness. Just clarity. Because I finally understood what I had lost. Not love. Not respect. But time. 3 years of carefully shrinking myself, for a man who was now rewriting reality to make me irrelevant. And the worst part? He truly believed I would stay exactly where he left me. Small. Quiet. Replaceable. He had no idea. I had already started calculating the cost of letting him continue. And for the first time, I wasn't calculating what I might lose. I was calculating what he would. I didn't confront him. That's what he expected. A reaction. Tears. Questions he could twist into weakness. Instead, I disappeared. Not physically. I still woke up beside him. Still made coffee. Still answered politely when he spoke. But emotionally, I stepped so far back that even his lies couldn't reach me anymore. Silence became my shield. At night, while he scrolled through his phone with that same distant smirk, I watched. Not him, but patterns. The timing of his messages. The subtle shifts in his routine. The way he locked his screen just a second too fast. During the day, I worked as usual, except I started looking deeper. Internal logs. Financial trails. Authorization chains. And there it was. Not just reckless spending. Systematic access. He had learned how to move through my accounts without triggering alarms, small amounts, spread out, disguised. Clever enough to go unnoticed by anyone who wasn't looking closely. But I was. And what I found wasn't just betrayal. It was intention. Forgery. Unauthorized transfers. A growing confidence that made him bolder each time. He wasn't testing limits anymore. He believed there were none. That night, I sat in the dark, the city lights reflecting faintly across the window. And for the first time, I said it out loud, not with pain, but with certainty. I'm not weak. I'm waiting. Because this wasn't the moment to act. This was the moment to understand everything. And the deeper I looked, the more dangerous the truth became. The decision didn't feel dramatic. There was no moment of rage. No breaking point where everything exploded. Just a quiet shift, like a door closing inside me. I stopped asking myself why he was doing it. And started asking something far more useful. How far is he willing to go? That question changed everything. Because revenge driven by emotion is messy. Predictable. Easy to counter. But strategy? Strategy requires patience. So I built distance. I let him believe nothing had changed. I still smiled when expected. Still played the role of the supportive, unaware wife. I even apologized once for making things awkward at that dinner. He relaxed immediately. That was my confirmation. Ethan didn't just underestimate me. He needed to. Meanwhile, I began restructuring things quietly. Access points were monitored. Internal alerts rerouted directly to me. Legal frameworks reviewed, especially the prenup he had insisted on signing years ago, ironically designed to protect his future. It would. Just not in the way he imagined. Every move I made was invisible. Every adjustment subtle enough to avoid suspicion. Because the goal wasn't to stop him. Not yet. The goal was to let him continue, long enough to remove any doubt. To build a case so precise, so undeniable, that when it surfaced, there would be no room left for excuses. No space for manipulation. Only consequences. And as I watched him grow more confident, more careless, I realized something unsettling. He wasn't just stealing from me anymore. He was building something. Something bigger. And whatever it was about to involve more people than just us. From the outside, Ethan was winning. That was the narrative he was building, and everyone around him was starting to believe it. New suits. Louder conversations. A confidence that felt rehearsed but convincing enough for those who wanted to be impressed. He spoke about deals, about expansion, about opportunities that placed him in rooms he had no business entering. And somehow, he was being invited. I watched it all unfold without interruption. Because what fascinated me wasn't the image he projected. It was the psychology behind it. Ethan didn't see himself as a fraud. Not anymore. Somewhere along the way, repetition turned into belief. The lies became his identity. The money he stole became, in his mind, something he had earned through intelligence, through risk, through entitlement. That's when people become dangerous. When they stop hiding, and start justifying. I noticed how he spoke to others now, slightly condescending, subtly dismissive. The same tone he once feared was now the one he used. Power, even borrowed power, changes posture. But it also creates blind spots. And Ethan's biggest blind spot was consistency. He was telling different versions of the same story to different people. Promises that didn't align. Numbers that didn't add up. He thought no one was comparing notes. But I was. Every word, every claim, every exaggeration, I mapped it all. Not to expose him immediately, but to understand the exact shape of the illusion he was building. Because to destroy something completely, you first have to see where it's weakest. And his illusion? It was starting to crack from the inside. I became a shadow in my own home. Not absent, just invisible in the right ways. I watched Ethan like an anthropologist studying a species too confident in its own cunning. Every laugh he faked, every boast he made, every little gesture designed to impress, I catalogued. Patterns emerged. Predictability disguised as charm. Vulnerabilities disguised as victories. It wasn't about anger anymore. It was about observation. Vanessa's interactions fascinated me as well. The way she subtly mocked the people she deemed beneath her. The way her smile froze when she thought no one was watching. The way she whispered into Ethan's ear, feeding him ideas, pushing him into decisions that seemed beneficial only for them. She thought she was orchestrating power, but she was stepping into my realm without realizing it. Every dinner, every gathering, every minor accident became a piece of a puzzle. Who trusted whom? Who feared exposure? Who was careless? Every betrayal Ethan and Vanessa committed became a weapon I could later wield. And the more I observed, the more I understood, their arrogance was the engine of their downfall. I didn't need to act yet. I didn't need confrontation. I only needed patience, calculation, and to wait until they underestimated exactly how dangerous I could be. Because the moment I moved, nothing would be accidental. Not for Ethan. Not for Vanessa. Not for anyone who thought they could walk over me. The first move was subtle. I started small, adjustments that no one would notice, but that shifted the balance of control entirely in my favor. A meeting rescheduled that forced Ethan to reveal discrepancies in his paperwork. An email misdirected to Vanessa that exposed her overconfidence in front of the wrong person. Every minor slip planted deliberately, like seeds in fertile soil. I wasn't acting. I was orchestrating. At home, I let Ethan believe I was still naive, still compliant, still unaware of the full scope of his deceit. He bragged freely about expenses, investment opportunities, and borrowed money he thought he could hide. Vanessa whispered strategies and plans in his ear, not realizing that her words now traveled through invisible channels straight to me. Every secret, every intention, every lie was now mine to leverage. The more I observed their hubris, the clearer the picture became. The cracks widened, just enough for me to see how far I could push them before they noticed the trap. Timing was critical. Precision mattered. One false move, and the entire plan could crumble. But I was ready. I had already anticipated every possible counter. And when the moment came, their confidence would be their undoing. They believed they were in control. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Then came the complication. A casual comment from Ethan nearly derailed everything. He mentioned inviting a financial advisor to the wedding, someone I hadn't anticipated. Someone whose presence could expose my subtle manipulations too early, before the plan reached its crescendo. My heart didn't race. I didn't panic. I analyzed. I calculated. Vanessa, blissfully unaware, flaunted her plan to secure the Cole fortune, not knowing she was revealing her own greed to the wrong audience, me. The audacity made my pulse calm. They were becoming reckless, leaving traces like breadcrumbs. I realized I needed a sacrifice. A minor, calculated concession to maintain cover. I allowed Ethan to take a small, fabricated credit misstep, letting him feel in control. It was a small loss for me, but it cemented his confidence. Meanwhile, I tightened invisible nets around every account, every contract, every transaction. The wedding would be the stage, and everyone's flaws would be visible in high definition. But the risk was real. One miscalculation, one accidental exposure, and the illusion of control could collapse too soon. I reminded myself, patience wasn't passive. It was lethal. And when the moment finally came, they wouldn't just fall. They would crash spectacularly. Sacrifice was never easy. I gave up comfort, appearances, even minor luxuries I loved, everything that could hint at my real wealth. I withdrew from public events I had once attended casually, canceled trips, and avoided calling in favors. All to protect the narrative, Olivia Hart, the quiet, unassuming wife who no one suspected. Every choice weighed heavily. Each concession felt like a tiny loss, but each one built the foundation for the ultimate payoff. I reminded myself that strategy demands patience, even when the heart screams for immediate justice. Impulse was my enemy, precision was my weapon. At night, alone in the penthouse that was technically mine, I reviewed every piece of evidence, forged documents Ethan had left, the financial exploits he thought no one noticed, Vanessa's recorded boasts, her whispered plans. I imagined the moment when all of it would surface carefully, publicly, irrefutably. And still, the tension lingered. Could I maintain the mask long enough? Could I keep Ethan blind, Vanessa arrogant, their egos inflated just enough to fall perfectly into place? I clenched my hands. The world outside had no idea the storm waiting for them was silent, invisible, and entirely inevitable. Because once it began, there would be no turning back. They thought they were untouchable. They were about to learn what patience, precision, and a quiet mind can do to arrogance. The trap was ready. Everything had been placed with meticulous care. Every conversation, every whispered boast, every forged transaction, it all led to this moment. The wedding wasn't just an event, it was a stage, and the audience would witness the unraveling of lies that had been carefully concealed for years. I arrived unnoticed, dressed simply, the way Ethan and Vanessa expected. Invisible. Insignificant. Harmless. But behind that mask, I carried months of preparation, legal leverage, financial evidence, and recordings that exposed every deceit. As the ceremony began, I watched the guests settle into their roles. Vanessa, smug and oblivious, glided through the room, certain of her victory. Ethan, confident and careless, whispered plans and numbers to anyone who would listen. Every word, every gesture, every misstep was catalogued, amplified by the network I had quietly created. And then the moment came. I pressed a single button. A massive screen descended, the lights dimmed, and the room fell silent. On the screen, the truth began to play, proof of Ethan's fraud, Vanessa's schemes, her father's financial ruin, and the web of lies they had spun around everyone. The crowd gasped. The illusion shattered. The predators were exposed. And all I had done was wait. The revelation hit like a hurricane. Faces froze. Glasses trembled in hands. Ethan's confident smile crumbled into disbelief. Vanessa's lips parted in shock, then twisted into a mask of horror as her own voice echoed from the recording, confessing her plan to steal Daniel's family fortune. The room was silent, every eye fixed on the screen that displayed years of deceit. I stepped forward, calm, deliberate, every movement measured. The empire they had thought irrelevant, my empire, was behind me. Every contract, every hotel, every financial proof flashed for the guests to see. Ethan's fraud, forgery, and theft of my assets were undeniable. Vanessa's arrogance and manipulation were laid bare. Her father's desperation and ruin projected for all to witness. Ethan sank to his knees, stammering apologies that held no weight. Vanessa's world collapsed, whispers of judgment rose from the crowd. Daniel's expression shifted from disbelief to betrayal. Margaret clutched her pearls, fainting in staged shock, while guests began recording every moment. I didn't shout. I didn't plead. I didn't react with emotion. I simply watched. Because the chaos unfolding wasn't luck. It was consequence. And it had been planned. Perfectly. Precisely. Unforgivingly. When the echoes of shock faded, I walked through the room as if it were mine, which, in every sense, it was. Security discreetly flanked me, waiting for my command. One by one, I instructed the culprits to leave. Ethan, on his knees pleading, had 30 minutes to pack his ego and his empty promises. Vanessa's father stumbled, humiliated, trying to negotiate debts that no longer existed. Vanessa herself stared, frozen. The social world she had built collapsing around her. Margaret clutched a designer bag that meant nothing anymore. No one argued. No one protested beyond feeble murmurs. The power was no longer theirs, it was mine. And the room understood that completely. Cameras captured every moment, but I wasn't acting for attention. I was reclaiming it. Reclaiming myself. Outside, the hotel staff coordinated flawlessly, guiding them out, ensuring no misstep could undo the meticulous plan I had executed. The crowd, once awed by status and wealth, now whispered in disbelief, witnessing the ultimate lesson: arrogance and cruelty have a price. And then, I stopped. I looked around, truly seeing the empire I had built, the life I had carefully concealed, the respect I had always deserved but never claimed, until now. A man approached me later, different. Not impressed by power, not intimidated by wealth, he met my gaze as an equal. And for the first time, I realized something profound: the world could see me, fear me, admire me, but only I could define my own value. I smiled. And whispered to myself, never let anyone shrink you for their own comfort. Because I would never be invisible again. If this story kept you on the edge of your seat, make sure to hit like and show your support, it helps more than you think. I want to hear from you, so leave a comment telling me about a time you were underestimated or faced betrayal. How did you handle it? And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story where patience, strategy, and intelligence turn the tables completely.